Hello, good evening. I hope whoever's watching this is doing well. It is, it's Tuesday, and I'm back with this game. Um, and you know how we do here. Gonna wait a couple minutes as I put out the word on the socials, and we'll start in about 5 minutes. Talk to you soon. All right, there is the ad break. We'll start as soon as we get back. Alex, buddy, welcome on in. I hope you're having a good night. I'm happy to hear that. I hope you had a good day at work. I'm doing alright. I made beef stew. And I'll have you know I was really tempted to call an audible and fire up blueprints again, but no, I'm gonna wait till Monday. Because I want to do some research and figure out what I need to do and how to do it without spoiling myself too much. Oh, you weren't too well this morning. I'm glad you're okay. That's good. That's good that the pay is gonna be the same. Alright, the ad break is over. Let's resume. Damn, up to day 76. Alright, I should load this game preempt ahead of time. But I just like the title screen music so much. It's so peaceful and serene. It's a good thing to hear when you come on at the start of a stream. Alright, we have not rested. But I am going to need to eat. I love red velvet cake. I do not have upgrade points available. This game is lying. There's no Walmart in my area, so I wouldn't know. Oh yeah, you were asking me about ice cream? Cold Stone actually has a red velvet cake flavor of ice cream. Alright, where is my place? Alright, right here. Yeah, we'll feed this stray. And we'll do some self-repair. Yeah, Cold Stone is really delicious. They have like whatever they do, they make it's there's a good richness and thickness to their ice cream. I just wish that they'd bring back the key lime that they had way back when. All right. All right, so we'll do the flotilla aid. That is one of my favorites. Yeah. I also like chocolate chip cookie dough and just pure chocolate ice cream. Alright, so that needs to grow, but what can I do with... No, I want this one. Vanilla, that's okay too. Oof. There's the briar. Let's finish this task. You came! Peak smiles at you as you walk into the climbing briar's cargo hold behind a gloomy esh. Oh, tomorrow's more work. Well, hang in there. I hope it doesn't terrain you too much. They brought mushrooms. H or Esh. Eshe tosses the mushroom caps onto a crate, raising her eyebrows at Peak. Peak gives her a look. Thank you, Sleeper. They pick one up and sniff at it. Are these edible? Okay. Wow, it's doing that thing again. Hold on, let me try reconnecting my controller. Alright, there we go. Yes. Peak turns the cap over in their fingers before putting it down. We're not to get some fresh produce. Ish is secure in case as she speaks and does look up. Hawthorne doesn't have much in the way of farming. They are an acquired taste. I'm sure the refugees will acquire it. Ish wipes her hands off with a rag. Most of them are from Ember's moons, so they are not used to eating green and grown things. Not like us XPR roughnecks. XPR? This an interrogation? She glares. Either way, we are done with that place, which is all you need to know. Right, okay, that's totally valid. Ash leans back against the crate she was securing. We are going to need more than a few mushrooms if we want to help those refugees through. What do they need? Food, water, components, a whole lot of things. Ish stands and walks over to the mushrooms you brought, placing them into a small container with care. The problem isn't just getting supplies, it's getting them through to the ships. Can't you just speak to Haven Age? We aren't exactly welcome guests, Peak explains. If anyone figures out where that we came in with the refugee ships, we'll be quarantined as well. Are you both refugees? Peak looks at Ish, waiting for her lead, but Ish doesn't flinch. Something like that. Ish looks away. But this isn't about us. This is about them. Ish stares at you. Even calling them refugees is just a way of turning a lot of scared, desperate people into a single monolithic group. H slides a container full of mushrooms into one of the cargo hold's racks. Look, as much as I'd like to chat, we've still got a lot of space to fill in this hold, so if you are going to help... I think H is trying to say we need your help and quickly, Peak says, glancing at her. The refugees behind the cordon, they won't be able to hold out indefinitely. We need supplies. We need to get supplies in the next 12 cycles, or... H steps forward. Or Haven Age will have to bear the responsibility of whatever happens next. What can I do? There's three things we still need to secure. Water, food, and scrap components for ship repairs. H gestures to the storage containers around the hold. Water we can find a way to source, or my preference. Just siphon oil from the underground reservoirs in the Greenway. Peak raises her eyebrows. H. She ignores them. For food, those things can be tricky. These mushrooms are delicious, I'm sure, but there's no way we can get enough volume to feed a flotilla. However, I saw an algae stack on the way over. If we can get access... No more stealing, H, Peak sighs. I didn't say steal. She stares at them indignantly. If we can get access, we can work the stack, harvest some algae for the flotilla. Those stacks churn out vast quantities in short time scales. And the repair components? Peak asks tentatively. Ish smiles. Just look around you, Peak. This whole place is made of scrap. She shoots you a glance, and I'm sure the Sleeper has their sources, and they can bring them right here. We get everything before time runs out? Perfect. We get most of it? Also good. Either way, 12 cycles, I'm going to take what we have and go. But how will you get through? H shoulders a container. I thought I'd leave it up to you, Peak. They flinch. Are you serious, Ish? I know we said we would help the flotilla, but at what point? They stop, take a breath. Take this seriously, Ish. I don't know the first thing about breaching a quarantine cordon. Maybe not, Ish looks at you, but they might. They slipped out from an SNR facility, didn't they? Plus, they've been here longer than us. You are always trying to get me to find help. Well, here it is. She gestures at you. Help. P glances between the two of you. I swear to... They sigh. I need to think this one through. Meet me at the court in a couple of cycles, Sleeper. Maybe we can figure something out. Meanwhile, Yeesh meets your eye. You can help me acquire the supplies discreetly. She smiles. We have to keep this quiet. Keep Havenage out of the loop. Once they get suspicious, this is all over for us. This all suddenly seems a little too real, too dangerous. You've only just found your feet on the eye. It's not a time for causing trouble. Come find us. We'll be out there trying to pull this all together. Ace goes back to the hole to start packing another container. Pete, come help me. Pete glances back at her. Sleeper, look, we didn't choose this either. They lower their voice. Help us finish this. We've set up a base camp on the broken spoke. You are welcome to rest there at any of the cots while we work on this. They smile. We are in this together. Peek! Aish shouts, and they walk back to the hole to help with the container. As you leave the climbing briar, you look out at the broken edge of the eye's ring, where Havenage's corner links with tiny red lights. What are you getting yourself into? Alright, so we need 8 scrap components. Do I have any right now? Nope. But there are places to get scrap. Alright. We need water for the flotilla? No Haven Age alert. Okay, oh, I see. Alright. Alright, I understand how this works. That will probably be the first thing I do. And the algae stack. That's gonna be the easiest. Scrap and algae are gonna be the easiest. Alright, no scrap sellers right now, but... Alright, so in 4 days... Every 4 days, I'm gonna get as much scrap as I can from there. Alright, we'll end this cycle. Alright, that is a good dice roll. Sleeper, Mortis is waiting on you on your way out. How have you been? Busy. I see, he nods. Well, I'll get right to it then. Bliss sent me down and we've scored another contract and she needs your help. That's the message. He pauses. Look, I know last time the payment didn't come through, but you did good work. Bliss knows that. That's on her. Moritz flinches. She's doing her best, alright? I know. He nods. See you up there. Moritz turns and strides off, leaving the corridor. Time to help Bliss, and maybe this time, think to yourself, it'll work out. Alright. Let's see what's up there. Shit, we got some juggling to... Alright, there is no time limit on this. We'll buy a spacer meal here. Alright, good deal. Alright. Alright, we gotta deal with the Haven Age alert now. Alright, let's try this again, and... Shit. Alright, we need to stop, or we are going to be fucked. Alright. That's a good... Okay. All in all, that went well. And... this job up here... Alright, this job up here does not seem... Alright, this does not seem to have a major timetable, so... We will do that after we're done with the flotilla aid. Alright. As you leave, you find a note pinned on the outside of the door. It reads, "Sleeper, there's something you need to see. You can hit the cordon as soon as you can. Just keep heading around the ring until you hit the flotilla. I'll be waiting. Peek." You pocket the note and glance around the corridor. Looks like you were doing this. Time to make a plan. Alright. I just want to see... Alright. 2 more days till that. Alright. Alright. That's a good deal. And you know what? With that, we will... Let's lower the Haven Age alert. Better. And back to the algae stack. Alright, that's halfway done. And let's see what Peak wants. Alright, here we are. Sleeper! Peak catches your attention from the shadowy corner they were leaning up against. Any trouble getting here? None. Good to hear. Come, take a look at this. They beckon you over to a nearby window, which looks across the ruined ring to the blinking red lights of the Haven Age cordon. The cordon's temporary structures, a net of metal struts meant to detect and dissuade any ships from entering or leaving the flotilla, jut out into the black, and all around the tugs flit, securing them in place and tending to the red blinking drones that Denmark the quarantine. It's an impressive and worrying sight. What do you think? Peak interrupts your thoughts. How would you get through? Use one of the tugs. As an escort, you mean? I doubt we could fit all the supplies onto one of these tugs, but if it seemed like the Briar was officially being escorted through the cordon, Peak squints at the red lights, but then we'd be stuck inside. Peak turns away from the window and rubs their forehead. Aisha's really wrapped us up in something here, hasn't she? The question is spoken under their breath, and they don't seem to expect an answer. The silence grows. Maybe we try all three? Peak laughs. I like it. At least we should prepare as many ways as we can. The way I see it, there were 3 parts to make it through that cordon. They gesture. They gesture out the window at the strange structure. Deception, distraction, and speed. We'll need all of them for a clean passage through. Deception means tricking the cordon security into thinking that we are meant to be there. Maybe a tug export would work? Anything that makes the Briar look official. Distraction, meanwhile, will be all about diverting attention so that no one looks too hard at what the Briar is doing. If we can create a gap in the cordon's scanning and deterrent systems, that should keep them busy. Finally, speed will mean making sure the Briar is ready to roll. Perhaps we could do a little work on the ship to get her ready? Ace certainly wouldn't mind. They lean back from the window. How does that sound? Good. Good to hear, Peak grins. Peak looks down at their slate. 10 cycles left. They glance out of the window of the cordon nervously. 10 cycles to gather the supplies and prep this plan. It's tight. Very tight. If this goes wrong, Peak sighs, just get out, okay? They squeeze your shoulder. I'll follow H anywhere, but you don't need to get dragged down with us. Okay, good. Peak brightens a little. I don't need any more guilt than I already have. Let's get to it, Peak stretches. I'll tell H about the improvements to the Briar, and the rest, let's explore the cordon as best as we can and look for openings. I have no idea what guardian angel sent you to a sleeper, Peak smiles, but I'm very glad they did. Oh boy, this is getting more complex. Alright, can I buy scrap yet? No, 2 more days. Alright, time to rest. We'll rest at the base camp. Alright. Down to 4 dice now. Alright. So what I'm gonna do... Alright. Alright. Now, for the rest... I think we'll gather water for the rest of the day. Alright. Shit. Alright. And of course that is worthless. But fuck it. We have the dice. I have one more. Alright, 1 down. 2 to go. Tucked into a surface corridor below the reservoir, Aish is double-checking the seals on the water tanks loaded onto the motorized trolley. Though you are far enough away from any thoroughfares to not worry about being overheard, you both still speak in hushed tones. All good? Aish nods silently and then hits the ignition on the trolley to keep started moving. You take the other side of the trolley and walk it up the wide service corridor with its flickering lights and Solheim derringers. You doubt it gets used by him, H. At least that's the hope. You glance across at Aish, her face a mask of determination as she guides the trolley along. Maybe some conversation will make this journey go a little easier. How'd you meet Peak? Aish pauses, a little surprised at your question. She nods back down the tunnel, but in this deserted passage she can hardly keep up the pretense of silence. We grew up together, she answers quickly and turns back to the trolley, but she can tell you were expecting her to add more. She seems to gather herself for an answer and not wanting to ignore you, but trying instead to get her answer straight in her head. Our outpost, Hawthorne, is not an easy place to grow up. The administrators keep a tight hold of everything. She rolls her eyes, even though they are trapped in the same decaying installation as everyone else. Peak, she pauses. Peak found it harder than most. She pauses again, judging her words. I stepped in to help them out. Silence descends again, but you can feel the wheels turning in Aisha's mind as the creaking wheels of the trolley take you along the corridor. Peak is the most practical of people. They used to be, well, they needed someone to teach them to look after themselves, stand up for themselves. That was me, she smiles. After that, I couldn't get rid of them. Aisha stops talking, but you see her eyes have lit up, and you imagine she's recalling some moment or other from her and Peak's past. You both reach a wide bulkhead doorway. Doorway. Ugh. You both reach a wide bulkhead doorway, and you have to shimmy the trolley over to the edge. When you are done, Ace turns to you. I'm good from here. Head back. And with that, she's gone, moving off into the dark tunnel ahead. You watch her go and then turn around and walk the distance back to the staircase you entered from, the tunnel humming up around you as you do. As you walk, you try to piece together Aisha's past, but all you have are glimpses of a person she once was. She seems to prefer it that way. Alright. With that, this day is officially done. Actually, no, wait. I need energy. We'll barter for food here. One more time. So, Alex, if you're still here, I hope you're enjoying this game as much as I am. Alright, Ending the cycle. Alright. It has now been 4 days, which means the scrap freighter should be here. Bingo. Alright, we'll buy some scrap. There's gotta be somewhere else to gather scrap, but... Alright, we'll do some work here. And... Alright. Got some money back. Fuck. I did not mean to do that. Shit. I need to look over every inch of this and see where exactly I can find scrap. Oh, okay, we'll just try it here. Alright. That was a good outcome. So that's half the scrap I need. Yeah, screw it. Alright. Okay, 2/3 of the way done with algae access. Alright. This was a good day. We'll rest here again. It should be the last day that I have 4 dice. Alright, let's make the most of it. Let's finish this one. Alright. Wait. Okay, this is more complicated than I thought, but... Alright, we will accelerate the growth. Come on, show me potato salad. Ah, fuck. Oh, that actually opened it. Oh. Alright, so that's 5 days gone. we're here, might as well just drop these off. We'll check back with Rico later. Right now, let's barter for some food. Alright, back to the base camp. Let's see here. Alright. Shit, and I still gotta deal with Peak's plan. Oh my god, this is gonna come down to... I have to complete the active scene, alright. Rico is at her bench, running small vials of some liquid machine through an old chemical analysis machine. The whirring of the spinning drum fills the lab with white noise, and you aren't sure if she notices you approach. Sleeper, it's good to see you. She looks up smiling. This little project of ours has been keeping me awake for the past few cycles, but right now I think I have something. What is it? The drum finishes spinning, and Rico lifts a vial from it, holding it up to the light. This is something I extracted from those club heads you've been bringing me. But according to my analysis, it is a substance totally unique on the Greenway. You look at the small amount of liquid in the vial. Any idea what it might be? Rico asks without looking at the bottle. Without looking away from the vial. No idea. You aren't the first sleeper to come through here. Perhaps I should have mentioned that earlier. Rico's tone suddenly drops, changing the atmosphere in the lab immediately. I just thought... She pauses, thinking very carefully how to continue. I just want you to trust us. What do you mean? She sighs. They came through a fair few cycles ago. We found them wandering the broken section near the gap. The members who brought them in had never seen one of you before. They were terrified of this strange person wandering in from the open vacuum. They were quieter than you and damaged. We did our best to patch them up and welcome them to the commune. I only really spoke to them once when I was working on their wounds along with a couple of systems engineers. She looks nervously at you. I'd never seen a body like that before. I took some readings, some samples. Samples? You have to understand, I was curious. I didn't know what I was looking at. I just took a little of the damaged material, less than a thumbnail. She shifts her weight neck to her crutch. The next cycle they were gone. They took a little Fudo and hiked up towards the wild margins, where the greenway meets the waste. Someone saw them in the distance, but that was it. They disappeared into the overgrowth. She sits down heavily, the vial in her hand. When I saw you, I wanted things to be different. I wanted to keep you here rather than let you disappear into wherever they ended up. She smiles to herself. Yes, I wanted to understand this place better, but I also wanted to help you. It seems that somehow both my wishes have come true all at once. She holds out a hand with the vial. This is for you. You take the stabilizer, the glass cold and smooth in your palm. Thank you. How, actually? Those clubhead caps made it for you, or at least whoever made those clubheads. She starts to clear her bench. It was right there, containing their tissue. I only had to extract it. I imagine you understand how incredible that is. I learned enough from that sleeper to know that your body, your frame is it, runs on some exotic technology. Exotic technology that has a time limit built in. Somehow the Greenway knows that too. It understands your physiology much better than I ever could. It knows how to treat you. Just like that miraculous antidote that sprung off from the mold, so too has this sprung from your presence here. The Greenway is speaking to you. It is welcoming you. She looks up. I know it sounds crazy, but I know it to be true. Here's the evidence. And I want you to know that it is no longer speaking to me. And what I also know is that it is no longer speaking to me. Even after decades here, I've never seen this kind of response. Not since the antidote so many cycles ago. She smiles. So I'm going to make you a deal. You bring me as many clubheads as you like, I'll extract the stabilizer and give it to you, freely. But you have to tell me what the Greenway says. You have to speak with it, to dig into it. To find out what is being... to find out what being is at the center of it. I've traveled as far as I can. I need you to do the rest. Can you do that? Sure. Rika sighs with relief and deflates into her chair. Thank you. I'm sorry for the other sleeper. Truly I am. I'm sorry I couldn't have done more, but I'm so glad I met you. She smiles. You are welcome here anytime. Rika falls silent. She looks smaller now, more fragile, and you realize how old she must be to have seen the collapse firsthand. You idle a little in the lab in case she asks for anything else, but she remains silent. And so you drift back into the tunnel, thoughts of that other sleeper and where they ended up weighing on your mind. Alright. Alright, we'll plant a seed here. Alright, well that is cool. Alright. I only have 2 upgrade points now, so I can't get any upgrades. Alright, we're gonna have to go to the base camp and end this cycle. Alright, this will probably be my last day with 4 dice. Oh, okay, nope, they're just 3. Alright, so then we gotta make this count. Alright, so we'll do that here. Get some scrap here. Alright. If this is ready, then... Alright. And that'll be today. How much time is left? Alright. Shit, that is awful dice. Alright. Go to the waste here. I may have to use a stabilizer sooner than I'd like. Shit, I meant to use the other one. Alright, fuck that. Alright, get some food right now. And with the time that I have right now, I think I'm going to... Since this isn't a time crunch, I absolutely have to use stabilizer. I usually like to let it tick down, but this is a special case. Alright. Alright, let's make this count. Alright, there's one down. Shit. Shit. I feel like I'm gonna fuck up this objective. They're just... And I don't even have enough algae here. Shit. Alright. I did not realize how complex this would be. I would have waited. A rapid burst of movement catches your attention. A drone. Its fins adjusting as it hovers in place, floats in corridor. Hello? Drone shifts a little but does not respond. The drone buzzes closer and a voice speaks out of its speaker, distorted and strange. Speaker, come to the corridor. We need to speak. Who is this? The drone clicks on words and the recording starts playing again. Sleeper comes to the corridor. We need to speak. Inspect the drone. You move closer and the drone bobs away to a safe distance. But as it does, you see the HA of Haven Age emboldened on its side. Could this be Feng's drone? Satisfied it has delivered its message, the drone rotates and accelerates away as rapidly as it arrived. You stare as it disappears from sight, hoping for some insight that escapes you. To the corridor, then. Alright, I have so much more to do. Alright. Alright, that's done. You are leaning up against the metal crates you just loaded up with algae, packed and dried in green pucks. Aish hops onto one beside you, flexing her back. Is this enough? Aish squints at you as if you had just interrupted your train of thought. It's a look you have become familiar with. Doesn't matter either way, this is what we've got. She sighs, rubbing the back of her neck. In these past cycles, working the algae stack with Aish, you've had little insight into her mind. She rarely seems happy to start a conversation, but is always eager to end one. Despite this, you feel like something has grown between you, something like silent trust. The kind that needs to seed itself in the fertile soil of hard but necessary work. There's something I've been meaning to ask. Aish raises her head. Go on. Why escape XBR? Aish pauses, her protective instinct fighting with the trust you've built. You can see her begin to shrug the question off, then she stops, rethinks, and sighs. What you need to understand, Sleeper, is that Erlin's Eye wasn't the only place where the Solheim collapse happened. Sure, Hawthorne, where we grew up, was an XBR installation, but that didn't screen it from Solheim going under. Actually, Solheim was the only reason XBR ever got here. She pauses, hesitant to get into the whole story, but waiting to offer something. She flinches, correcting herself. They are Service Corp. You understand? They set up outposts and circuit systems like this to offer refueling, logistics, and maintenance services to bigger companies with extraction contracts. She gestures to the eye around her, like Solheim. When Solheim went bust, XBR lost their client, and Hawthorne, well, we lost everything. We became an outpost tasked with just holding on, keeping the refueling platforms running, they said. Keep the outpost stable. Hold on to our claim. She rubs her head as if recalling all this was somehow physically painful. Do you know what it's like to spend your entire life in a place with no future? A place that exists only to hold a legal claim to a piece of territory, to shore up breach of contract negotiations with between two corporations? It's like living in a she searches for the word, her eyes jumping back and forth in a grave. She clenches her hands. So if you are looking for the answer as to why, questions, that's your answer. We, Peek and I, know what it's like to be forgotten, to be locked out. She stares hard at the side of the stack. The algae whirling against the glass in beautiful patterns as she doesn't look away. The silence extends, and you realize the conversation is over. Aish seems angry, not at you, but with herself for even voicing such ideas. After a while, you stand and start to load the crates onto the powered cargo trolley that Aish will run back to the Briar. As you do, you try to catch her eye, but she avoids it, soothing herself instead of comforting soothing herself instead with the comforting simplicity of physical work. Alright. That's two. Alright. So I should be able to buy more scrap now. The scrap freighter should be back. Bingo. Oh no, it's still... It hasn't left yet. Okay, shit. Alright then. Let's go to the waste here. Alright. We will try to finish this off. Alright. I'll take it. I'll take it. That's 8 scrap. You look over at the pile of scrap components lying in the briar. You look around, the bay is empty. Asian Peak elsewhere, either elsewhere on the station or on the bridge a couple of levels up. You begin sorting through the pile, separating useful components and boxing them by use. You don't recognize everything you find, but before long you get into the rhythm of sorting. As you do, your mind starts to drift, your attention being drawn into the dark corners of the bay. The briar is in surprisingly good condition, considering that Hawthorne and XBR must have been operating it for decades by now. The marks of care are everywhere. The delicate patch jobs, polished to meld into the original flesh, or the carefully bound wiring running through the custom trunking. Aish loves this ship, that much is clear. Something catches your eye in one of the dark corners. A matte black sack of crates you hadn't spotted before. They are sleek and compact, tucked away behind some of the bigger, more worn containers. Investigate. Put the components away and go over to the sleek crates. You run your hands across the textured surface, but there is little hint of what lies inside of the opaque metallic casing. There you see it, a yellow symbol, embossed into the far side of the crate, and a universal sigil used by spacers, corporations, and manufacturers alike. Ooh, we have an ad break coming up in about a minute or two. I do not play during ad breaks, so enjoy the 3 minutes of downtime, do some self-care, stretch, whatever, and I'll resume the game once the 3 minutes are up. A universal sigil used by spacers, corporations, and manufacturers alike. It is one you've seen throughout your time as a sleeper. Its meaning all too familiar. Explosive contents. You hear a hiss and Aish comes through the bay's lock. She barely registers your presence, nodding as she passes. Sleeper. She busies herself with some task at the back of the bay. No, no, no. Thank you. We'll ask about the crates. Aish doesn't turn around from whatever she's busy with. Just more supplies, Sleeper, like everything else here. You can't think of anything else to ask, but you sense the atmosphere has now somehow shifted. You quickly finish up sorting and slip out, waving goodbye to her to her back as you do. All right. What should I upgrade? You know what? I want to go with. I'll go with this one. No, I. Actually, we'll go with. Forgot what those symbols mean. I'll go with this one. All right. And there is the ad break. I will see you in 3 minutes. All right, we are back. All right, so I got enough dice for one more action today. Alright. And that'll be it for now. Jesus, I've got so much more to do. It's not even funny. But next couple of days will be spent. The remaining time I have on this task will be spent doing that. I should be able to pull that off. I'll use another stabilizer if I have to. But we gotta deal with this active scene first. As you enter the passage that leads to the cordon, a flash of movement catches your eye. The drone. It stops to make sure you've seen it and then flits into a side passage, leading to a set of narrow stairs. You climb up through a dark shaft, the drone stopping at each landing to check that you are following. Despite its lack of expression, there's something overbearing about the way the drone waits, impatiently realigning its fins in sequence. After a long climb, you come out to an observation platform. The cordon and the vast ramshackle refugee ships beyond fill your vision. The scale seems impossible, and immediately you feel small and naive for even thinking you could affect the situation. Something shifts nearby. The drone again? A woman is standing at your window at the edge of her vision. You aren't surprised you didn't notice her. She seems too impossibly small in the shadow of the flotilla. The drone buzzes by her shoulder and she turns. Sleeper, sorry for all the cloaker and dagger nonsense. She nods at the drone, but I've never regretted being cautious. She smiles a tight smile and holds out a hand. I'm Helene. Shake her hand. The tight smile holds, but the drone keeps its single eye fixed on you. The effect is a little unnerving. Look, she glances around the emptied observation deck as if checking for potential eavesdroppers. Let's be straight with each other. I know about your plans and... She cuts in before you can respond. I understand your motives. You look at her in her overalls, the yellow markers, the HA sigil. You've been on the eye long enough to recognize a Haven Age member when you see them. You are Haven Age. Yes, I mean, I expect that is obvious. A tight smile again. I hope you won't hold that against me. She glances around nervously again and moves a little closer. This entire situation, I am not here to defend it. She glances back at the flotilla. No one is happy about this. Then release the flotilla. She sighs. How do you think this works? She pauses. Sleeper, tell me something. What does Haven Age mean to you? A fresh start. Surprising, Sleeper, but not unwelcome. Haven Age is used to being criticized. In some ways, we invite it. Our members are free to bring up grievances at any meeting to propose new structures and approaches. She shifts her weight impatiently. As my counselor, it is my duty to listen to them. That is why I was selected by the members. We are an imperfect system, yes, and each counselor, each member, each representative can be flawed, and worse. She looks down. But we keep this place running. That is what we do. And the non-members? There are paths to membership, and we cannot force everyone on the station to join us. What do you expect? We are an association of individuals. We cannot always account for the needs of those outside the structure. She turns and looks out at the flotilla. No matter how much we wish to. Can the Eye take in thousands of refugees safely? I don't know. This place is a ruin, Sleeper. What do you think the council discusses? The price of Griol? We make plans to keep the place spinning, to keep life support working, to ensure... Helene Slate chirps, and a grim look passes across her face as she sees the notification. She looks tired, the screen light casting a rigid expression in a pale glow. Sleeper, I didn't bring you here to explain how Haven Age works. Alright, Alex. Thank you for coming by. You rest well, my friend. I came to talk to your place on the cordon. Reach the quarantine... Wait. I came to talk about your plan to cross the cordon, reach the quarantine, and supply the flotilla. She looks directly at you. Stay silent. I know you think you are helping the flotilla, but you cannot do this. Right now, halfway across the ring, one of a countless series of debates are being held. These debates are to evaluate the potential harm that could be caused if the refugees of the flotilla are left to enter the station. These debates are at a standstill. Helene walks to the window. Too many in the Haven Age Council think of the flotilla as a threat. After recent events, a hardline group has emerged. Protective, selfish. They seek only to benefit the members. In their mind, the flotilla is a danger to the life on the Eye. If you are caught crossing the cordon and breaching the quarantine, it will only strengthen the hardline counselor's case. Criminals who stole a ship from XPR undermining the security of the station. She shakes her head. It's exactly what they want. That's your problem. It's the flotilla's problem if they are ruled a threat. The cordon stays strong and the quarantine will never be lifted. She sighs. And those ex-XPR spacers you were running with? Sleeper, do you know anything about them? More than I know about you. She looks at you pleadingly. Let's change that, Sleeper. Why do you think the refugee flotilla came here now? Something is happening in the system. Something that is pushing people out of colonies and outposts that have survived since Solheim's collapse. We need to be ready for whatever's coming. Ready to protect the Eye. I know the Eye means something to you. I know there's a reason why you are still here. Help me protect it. Helene fixes you with a strong look. Persuade those spacers that this is the wrong move, that they will get caught and the flotilla will be locked down, that Haven Age will be delivered into those with the worst instincts. Forget this suicidal supply run with people you barely know. Help me fight for the Eye. Why won't you stop me? I suppose the plan is the same as if it goes ahead and they are caught. Every way I look at the Eye, the Eye looks compromised. The quarantine justified. The hardliners get their scapegoat. Don't offer up the excuse that the hardliners need to lock the flotilla out altogether, to persuade the members that they are the safest pair of hands. She looks at you imploringly. Please. You look at her and the flotilla behind and sense desperation in her plea. A notification breaks the silence. Shit. She rapidly scrolls to the page of data. Sleeper, I need to go. She looks torn. Think about this, please. Talk to the spacers. Help them see reason. And she quickly leaves the observation deck before you have time to respond. You stay for a moment, watching the lights of the tugs and the flotilla, and I wonder what it feels like to be on one of those ships, so close to your destination yet so far from it. And you think of the Haven Age Council chamber across the Eye, where the right of these people to find safety is being debated. You shiver, and then you two are gone, back into the stairwell and a cold dark below. Alright. This is really gonna be close. Alright. Time to rest in the base camp. Alright. Another day of 5 dice. Oh my god. Sleeper, Peak is waiting for you when you leave, but they look different. Pale, drawn out. You need to come up to the briar now. Don't meet your eye. Nod. We'll be waiting. Peak walks away. Don't take long. And with that, they disappear around the corner, leaving you anxious and confused. Alright, they really want me up there now. As you walk into the climbing briars, carnivorous bay, now filled with crates and containers, Ace is waiting for you. In front of her, sliced open with its inside scattered across the top of a heavy-duty crate, is an object you recognize, Helene's drone. You freeze. Coming quick. Peak nudges you into the bay, looking behind you before sealing the entryway. We have to start being careful. You move closer to the container, your eyes on the drone splayed out in pieces, some parts of it hooked up to a slate that Peak picks up and begins tapping away at. Aish looks up from the dissection. You caught it buzzing around nearby, heading for the ship. She leans over and taps the HA signal on one of the removed parts of plating. It's a Haven Age spy. We think we got it before it sent data back, but we can't be sure. Peak looks at you nervously. Have you noticed anyone watching you? Any drones like this? Anyone following you up to the bar? I've seen this drone. Following you? I met its owner. Aish pauses for a while, Peak looking between the two of you. Explain, Sleeper. We'll tell him about her. You explain your mouth Helene at the quarter and you tell Aish and Beak about what she told you. That the Haven Age Council are debating lifting the quarantine, but they are blocked by the hardliners. You speak faster and faster, but before you can finish, Aish walks away in anger and comes back in, her eyes burning. What is this, Sleeper? Have you understood nothing from what we've told you? She paces in front of you. Haven Age are not your friends. They are administrators, which means they're interested only in their own power, their own survival, their own causes. They divide people as easily as sorting livestock. The greater good of their work demands it. The wider project of the station, the colony of the nation. Her eyes as wide as she speaks, are barely contained. I didn't have a choice. Pete cuts in. Listen to them, please, Aish. They are with us. Pete glances between you two. What was the Sleeper supposed to do? They were ambushed by Helene. She is trying to help. Let me tell you something, Sleeper. Aish says, her rage hardening into pain. When people become administrators, they give up something. Some part of being human. Being equal among others goes away. They start talking about the greater good. The greater good. The systems, the ways in which their hands are tied, or the processes of compromise. My mother was the administrator of Hawthorne, and I've seen what it did to her. The noble, higher calling. It is toxic. People should never have the chance to decide the fate of others. And those that do so at a cost of their humanity. Peak tries to cut him, but Aish holds up a hand. Don't start, Peak. Don't ask me to be reasonable. Calm down. Thousands of people are desperate out there. Being reasonable will only prolong their suffering. Helene can help. Aish turns away. I'm done with this. You are risking this entire supply run just by being here. She walks back into the bay and starts checking the crates. The straps in the crates. I go next cycle. We don't need you anymore. Get out. Sleeper, Peak looks torn. You have to understand, this is personal for Aish. Helene warned me. Warned you what? About what, Sleeper? Getting caught will be bad. You don't think we know that? Peak looks tired. You glance around the Bay of Briar. The walls seemingly closer every second. This whole thing is closing in on you. And the question is, where do you want to be when it all collapses? You look at Peak. And what do you think, Sleeper? Peak rubs her forehead. Should we do this thing or not? Yes. Okay, then. They squeeze your shoulder. Onward. They slip away to help Aish, leaving you alone to replay the conversation in your head. A certain kind of grim determination settling in the room. Last chance to prepare. Alright. Alright, there's one down. Meet Peak leaning in a corner of the canteen in a typically unassuming way. It occurs to you as you approach that Peak must have had some practice at staying invisible. All good? They look up from their slate. That crew you were talking to. They nod to the group leaving the canteen. Will they join us? They'll do it. Nicely done. Peak beckons for you to follow as they peel off the wall and head out into the hallway overlooking the cordon. Glad you were here to talk them into it. I never had much of a way with people. Peak smiles and looks away quickly as you walk. You and Aish seem to do okay. Peak laughs their light and easy laugh. Aish is not really like other people, which you've probably noticed. If only everyone was like Aish. They fade off, something drawing their attention. What I mean is, people have caused me a lot of trouble. I've had people hate me without knowing a thing about me. They tuck their hair behind their ear. I'm sure you know the feeling. I do. Pete glances at you. Sorry to hear that. It marks you, am I right? I try not to think about it. Peak nods. Don't let me make that any harder. Peak leads you around a corner, heading back to the main coordinate access way. I appreciate you coming in and helping us out on this, Sleeper. On talking to the crew and, well, you know. Maybe after this insane plan is done, we can talk properly. They look ahead and you realize they're nervous. I like that. Peak smiles, looking down at their feet. That's settled then, they say to the floor. I better report the news to Aish. We have ourselves a tug export. Peak stops at an intersection. See you soon, Sleeper, and please take care. With that, they drift away, their head down, their gait changing as they do, their practice invisibility shrouding them like a cape. Alright, that's one. Alright, we have to deflect suspicion now. Oh, fuck me. I fucked this up. We are not going to be able to do this. God damn it. Fuck. Oh my god. I can't go back to an earlier save. Fuck me. This plan is not gonna work. Fuck, I am so pissed at myself. Alright, I gotta call it a day. Fuck me. She's gone, Sleeper. Peak is breathless and shaking. She started to run without us. Shit. Let's see, if we head up to the corner now, Peak starts back up to the corner. They turn back. She has to make a Sleeper. She has to. A shiver runs down your spine. Aish, I hope you know what you're doing. You arrive frantic, anxious at the corner, and Peak is nowhere to be seen. Then you hear footsteps hammering on the metal stairway Helene's drone led you through before, the one that leads up to the observation deck. You head up the stairs two at a time and make it to the top, momentarily blinded by the light pouring into the observation deck. Sleeper. Peak emerges from the light. I know she's trying to protect me, but what was she thinking? She was always planning this, I know it. They turned away. How could I have not seen it coming? There she is. Peak rushes to the wide window, leaning forward to catch a glimpse of the climbing briar's blue XPR livery against the black of the void. You spot the climbing briar, splint of blue and white, and beside the red glare of Tug's lights, the Tug crew went with her. Peak smiles. I need to keep their word. That'll help. Peak doesn't seem to hear you, but the idea of the crew backing Aish up makes you smile. Maybe this thing will work. You watch as the briar and its Tug export arc down toward the edge of the cordon, demarcated by the red lights of the perimeter system. So far, so good. The briar will just look like another refugee ship being escorted into the cordon, at least at a glance. Peak grips the rail as Aish reaches the edge of the cordon. The invisible net of sensors displayed between the ships and drones. As you pass through, the response is immediate. Oh no. The moment the briar hits the net of the sensors, the entire cordon reacts. Sequences of blinking lights cascade out from the ship's position. The angry right of the cauldron multiplied many times over. Shit! Peak. Pressed a hand against the window. Go, H, go! As if responding to the peak. As if responding to the peak, the briar goes into a deep dive, plunging through the skin of the cauldron into the mess of shipments beneath. You move closer to the window without thinking, unable to take your eyes off the rapidly descending ship, spinning between the hulls of a flotilla, a group of tugs now tracing its path in pursuit. She's going to have to do this fast. Peak looks concerned as the Briar searches for a place to dock. You glance around for the pursuing tugs, but they, for the moment, seem to be elsewhere. Aish pulls the ship in, aiming to dock with the largest part of the flotilla's ships, a vast converted tanker, half its protective plates removed. Think about the effort it must have taken to get that thing all the way here from the inner system. You watch the Briar, unable to get any sense of progress from its plastic exterior. They will be offloading everything now, Peak says, both assuring you and himself that everything is going according to plan. You think of all the supplies loaded into the Briar and how long the process of unloading them might take. The bay was packed, ran with everything you could offer, and the thought of bringing all that to the flotilla makes you smile. You think of the reaction of the refugees, of the welcome they'll give Aish as the bearer of such gifts. You even imagine a smile from Aish as she's showered with thanks. You focus on that as you watch the Briar to continue the nervous wait for it to finish unloading. It's breaking off! Peak points at the Briar, and you see the puff of air and dust. It's the company's emergency depressurization. H must have ended things early, but why? Then you see them, the tugs closing in on the Briar. Dave and H must have spotted the ship. You and Peak are up against the window again, willing the Briar safe path out of the flotilla. The Briar drifts through the flotilla, but it is agonizingly slow. Come on, H! Peak shouts in desperation, pressing a palm against the glass. You squint at the gathering yellow glints of the tugs. They are too fast. You watch in dismay as the tugs swarm the Briar, their shunts locking onto the hull of the ship and holding it in place. The Briar is struck, its drives unable to escape the tug's grip, especially in close quarters of the flotilla. Peak is silent, and you watch as the Briar is dragged away towards the facility at the edge of the rim, a hole opening up in the pit of your stomach. You look at Peak, but they don't respond. They don't take their eyes off the Briar. Even after it disappears, they stand there at the glass, their eyes fixated on the flotilla. She didn't even get the supplies through. This is all for nothing. You can get her back. This was stupid, Sleeper. Peak looks at you, their eyes wet. A stupid plan. We have a ship and our freedom. We had a ship and our freedom. Now what do we have? Peak slams a hand on the glass in frustration, making you jump. I won't be trapped again. I won't. They turn and rush out of the observation deck before you can say anything, leaving you alone with the cold and the light. I really fucked this up. Ugh. Oh my god. I'll just work a shift here. Well, I have one other thing I can do. All right. God, maybe someday I'll play this on my own and try to do this right. Unfortunately, this game only auto-saves. Yeah, you can't revisit specific previous saves. Rika has something in her hands when you enter her lab. Looks like a knotted twist of woody stems, a ring around the circumference of a human head consisting of a single stalk at one side and a branch woven network at the other. As you approach, she holds it up, and in the light of the lab, it looks like a crown. Rico finishes your thought. She smiles and shakes her head in disbelief. Is that what grew? It is. I came to this plant this morning, and this loop was all that was there. She points to a lump on the edge of the ring. The seed grew right back into itself, twisted up out of the soil. That being you encountered in the cloud, as you call it, was it wearing one of these? She eyes you suspiciously, still unsure if she is somehow embroiled in overlong prank. Doesn't work like that. She sighs. Perhaps wearing was the wrong word. She places the object on the bench and shuffles to her analysis terminal, her face lit by its amber light in the dim corner of the lab. Well, it isn't exactly a plant anyway, not from what I can tell. She gives you a serious look. No leaves, no chloroplasts, just a series of filaments in those cellulose walls. Filaments? See, that's why I like you, Sleeper. You are so good at spotting the unusual details. She beckons you over. Look at this. You see a cross-section of the crown. It's layers of plant-like structure there on full view until you reach the center. And there, instead of xylem and phone for transporting nutrients, something branched and woven glints. Metal? In part, yes. They seem to contain metal, perhaps absorbed from the station itself. She leans closer to the screen. But you see those branches? They remind me of dendrites, of neurons. She rubs her eyes, which is frankly ridiculous. You look back at the crown on the table as Rico fusses over the scans, and you suddenly realize what it reminds you of. You remember signing the forms, the walk to the sleeper tanks, the cold metal floor. You remember the crown they fitted you with, the branching structure of wires and pads. No, not a crown. They called you an interface. A tool of your emulation, your transference from neurons to electrons. An interface. That is your gift from the gardens. You turn back to Rico. It's an interface. Rico looks at you puzzled. Something clicks in her mind. Perhaps something she heard from the sleeper as she helped all those cycles ago. She starts talking partly to you, partly to herself. If the club heads were made for you, then this too could be made for you, for your frame. She shuffles over quickly to the interface, a word that is struck to this strange branch object quickly in your mind. You are right. That entity. It is the entity I have been looking for. She shuffles quickly to the crown. They are the entity which is controlling the Greenway, which has been maintaining it, supporting it, has been guiding it for all these decades. She stops to catch her breath. They want to talk with you. Rico leads you to a seat. I will be here, Sleeper. If something happens, if you wish me to remove the crown, the interface, just squeeze. She grips your hand tightly. Meet her eyes, clouded with age, but bright with the thrill of new discoveries. Then she places the interface on your head and everything blinks out. Back into the river. Back into the dark flow, but something is different now. You are no longer pushed, no longer blocked and buffeted by the storm. Instead, it flows around you. You move and it parts, letting you pass. Something else resists, but it gives easily enough. You look back and see your body. You have left it behind. Somewhere, Rico's voice is talking to you, asking you questions. You It is excited, eager, desperate to know what is on the other side, what the enemy has to say to you. You realize how long she has waited for this moment, for the moment of meeting between the inhabitants of the Greenway and its protector, and yet she is still on the outside. You shake off the sadness. You will be her eyes. Then you see the figure, Gardner, out in the storm planning. It takes less than a moment to reach them. You have never felt so free. This is how a navigator must have felt, released from their prison. This, you think, is what it feels like to be in the place you were built to inhabit. Gardner does not turn at your approach. They go on planting, but their voice whispers in the current waters like a sharply rising current. You grew the gift. Their speech hisses around you. Good, I am glad. Who are you? Gardner is a good name. You chose it well. I will grow into it. How does it feel to be free of your seed? They stop to plant. They stoop to plant again. Good. That is good. They press the seed into the loamy depths. There was some disagreement, continues Gardner, as if you were picking up on a long-held conversation with the others. They felt you were a danger, but they were always cautious, especially the fungi. They like old, loam, no knowns, and wide and stable networks. Fungi were cautious? Mostly, yes. But although there are many among their number who favor short growth cycles, thick nutrient veins, and sun shifts. He gestures out into the storm, and though you cannot see them, you feel presences all around, sensing this audience with great interest. After all, they understood it was I who made them their crowns, and without them, they would not have joined the course. So they see that it is the only fair for you get your chance to join too. Join? Yes, become part of this. Gardner stoops again. We are millions and we grow. I hope you understand. I am unused to speaking to your kind. It has been many cycles since my last conversation. I think it was Chief Executive Trelick himself. You look around and you see it. Every growing thing, every non-human in the Greenway is here. They are networked, connected, branched, and linked by this strange being, this artifact of the old station. The impossible dream of senile farm administration AI, a living network. You could dissolve here, you realize, free of that decaying body. You wouldn't need a person. You wouldn't need to be a person. Why would you? Among all these other minds. You turn away from Gardner for a moment and look back at your body. A tiny hairline thread connects it to you. You hear Rico's voice again, still checking, still asking, still checking in. Are you okay, Sleeper? What are they saying, Sleeper? Are you still there, Sleeper? Something in you sighs alongside. A sigh that speaks of an exhaustion beyond tiredness. An exhaustion rooted deep inside you. It stems from the effort of answering questions, of answering problems, of getting up and breathing each cycle. But something else resists the sign, a yearning, a sense of desire, a desire to squeeze the hand that holds you for its warmth, its blood, its complexity. To make a gesture that says, I'm still here, I'm still alive, I'm with you. The two ideas spin within you, making you nauseous. If you break that thread, you will be free, free to dissolve here, to grow strange and beautiful among a million others. If you follow it, if you squeeze Rico's hand, you will wake up back in that dying body, with all the pain and warmth that entails. Now is the moment to choose. Or break the thread. You reach down and pinch the thread. The finality of this moment descends upon you. Break it. You pluck the thread like a string and it snaps. Nothing changes. You stand at a point of stillness. No, you don't stand. You have no legs, no body. You are a point of stillness, a point in the flow. Your mind fizzes. 1,000 new shoots break through the soil. They entwine with you, embrace you. Some part of you decays, while something else feeds from that decay. The spores of your new thoughts float away in shifting clouds and settle in the new soil. Then you see Garner still out there, planting. And then they stop, like an old man resting in the fields, and they turn to face you. And you join the chorus, and together you sing the song of growing things. Wow, we hit an ending. Alright, we... 90 cycles. Where will this leave me? Alright, we'll do this again, but do the other option. We'll follow the thread. Your eyes track the thread across the whirling dark back to your body. This choice you realize will not be presented again. You don't look back at the gardener. You don't dare risk it. Instead, you follow the thread delicately, carefully, like a diver following their lifeline back to the surface. The river whirls around you, but it doesn't pull. It isn't jealous. Neither does it understand. It is, after all, just a river. It isn't a person with flesh, a flesh and blood person with wants and with desires, and the capacity for love and hate. It doesn't understand you, and you don't understand it. So you don't focus on it, you don't think about it, on what feels like such a long journey back through the dark. You set your mind on eyes instead, on hands, on things you can focus on, hold on to. Then, after an age of crossing, you are there, settling back into the chair, into a body, in a chair, and the overwhelming sensations that come with being a living thing with a rich and detailed sensorium. For a moment, you feel like you have made a terrible mistake. You would choose this weight, this anxiety, this deep well at the center of existence. But then you feel it. Rico's hand gripped hard around yours, trembling a little, sweating a little. Rico's hand with its brittle bones and crumpled skin. Rico's hands. And in that moment, you understand why you made the choice. And you squeeze Rico's hand, and then you wake up. Alright. Warmth and light ending. Sleeper? Rico's voice comes wavering through the dark. Are you still with me? You sit up. The lab of bright green glare that fades as you gather yourself. I'm here. Rico smiles. Good. She squeezes your hand. I thought you left me for a moment. What? She pauses. Who? She smiles. Tell me about it. Tell me everything. You tell Rico everything. You tell her about the gardener, the strange farm administrator AI that has grown so much to be so much more. About the course, the impossible configuration of network plans, and about the choice the gardener, and finally about the choice the gardener offered you. She listens attentively, but her responses are hard to read, and you wonder if she might have made a different decision had she been in your place. Thank you, Sleeper, for telling me. I know it isn't easy to say such things. People often do not wish to hear such strange truths. She looks away. And thank you for returning to me. Though I know you had your own reasons. She squeezes your hand reassuringly. Something passes between you then, a kind of shared sadness for the impossible choice. The choice to escape your body or to stay and suffer it. Her smile is warm and generous, and whatever the wisdom of your choice, you are glad to feel welcome in this moment, in this place. Then suddenly she stands and walks a little away, as if trying to escape an unpleasant thought. You worry that she knows all too well what it takes to make a choice like you did. Rico sighs. So, Sleeper, do you plan to stay in the commune with us? For a while. I'm glad to hear it. Rico crosses back over to you and takes one of your hands in both of hers. Hypha needs new blood if it wants to surprise, and she squeezes. You are a good friend. Feeling is mutual. Well, don't let me keep you. Rico walks away and lifts back to her terminal. As she does, you notice the crown in her hand as she places it on the bench with great care. You can't help but feel a little curious about what she intends to do with it. Then you are out, breathing the air of the Greenway, fresh as a spring morning. The dappled light makes patchwork of the greening landscape and you walk into it, sensing the movement of the gardener's chorus all around. And you are glad to be here in this strange place a little longer. Alright, that's a little better. I feel like there's more to do. Or am I running out of... Alright, let's roll this last one. Got nothing to lose. Bingo. You and Biss are floating in the bay's airlock and waiting for it to cycle. You pick a few leaves from your clothes as you wait, and they float around the chamber as if carried by a lazy wind. Clean work. Biss bows a little. Well, thank you, Sleeper. You didn't do so bad yourself. She checks her tool belt. Seems like we're getting into a good rhythm. An unfamiliar sequence of clunks and rattles sound out, and the door hisses open. The moment it does, you know something once again has gone wrong. What's all this? Biss asks, confused, looking towards. Behind him are a set of crates anchored to the bay floor. He has clearly just brought them in through the bay's freight lock. Moritz looks nervously between the two of you before answering. It's payment. He runs a hand on the crate. The Sycamore Seed crew just brought them over. He stops, but seeing the look on Bliss's face adds, they were very thankful. I bet they were. She clenches her fist. What the hell is inside? Morris leans over and struggles with the caches on the top side of each crate. As he does, Bliss turns to you. Don't say it. Bliss stares into space. Don't you dare say it. Don't. She gives you a hard look. This isn't my fault. Moritz finally gets the caches free and the lids float off, drifting up into the bay. As it does, a small brown bump floats up with it. Moritz reaches out and catches it as it passes him. Is that a mushroom? Bliss finishes. A damn mushroom. They paid us mushrooms? Not just mushrooms. He holds out a clump of tightly packed leaves. Produce. Bliss starts laughing. Goddamn Hypha commune. Should have known they didn't have a shit to rub between them. She knocks down a small mushroom across the bay. Stop, Bliss. Moritz grabs her hand. These are good, fresh, we can sell them. To who, Moritz? Are we running a grocer's now? We need cryo, otherwise this whole bay will be shut down. We can't pay for parts with leafy greens. She waggles up in Moritz's face. Moritz is right. Bliss raises an eyebrow. Fine, maybe Moritz is right, but what do we do between now and market day? She rubs her forehead. What a joke this place is turning out to be. Moritz closes up the crates and starts moving them. It isn't that bad, Bliss. It's a step in the right direction. He glances at you for looking for backup. Oh, so well. Bliss sighs. Looks like I went into business with a couple of wannabe farmers. She laughs. Prove me wrong then. Show me this is a windfall. She kicks away towards the new patched together terminal. Until then, I'll be working on how to keep this place open. Moritz mouths a thank you and goes back to moving the crates. You'd better be on your way too. Alright. With no other active objectives, I'm just gonna call it for now. Thanks everyone for watching. I wonder if I'm in the end game because there's just so little to do. I mean, I know there's the DLC that we'll get to eventually, but for now, yeah, I'm just gonna call it. Not gonna raid out. We'll do this again tomorrow. And whatever happens, happens.